So, welcome to WineConf. It's been a while since we had one, so nice to see you all again. Thanks to Stefan for inviting us here. And this year, it's going to be, I hope, slightly different WineConf. At least it's going to be a different keynote. I know, you will be disappointed that I don't have lines of code graph.
How are we supposed to drink then?
You can drink anyway. You need more drinks. Yeah, so usually what I do in the keynote is explain everything we've been doing great and all the successes we had and the new releases we've made and all that stuff. But this time, lately there have been a number of discussions and issues and wine staging. People have been staging a revolution, so I wanted to discuss this time not the things we are doing right, but the things we could be doing better. And in order to do that, I think the first thing is to listen not only to the people who are pleased with the current state of things, but to the people who are displeased and with reasons to be displeased. And so I've been trying to do that, which is a new experience. And so what I would like to do in this keynote and in the rest of WineConf is to discuss these issues and discuss the points that people have brought up and see if we can come to an agreement on at least some of these points. And if we disagree, then we'll just do it my way. But I hope we can agree. There are a number of things we can change. And I've had discussion with a number of people, mostly with Sebastian, who has made a number of interesting suggestions, and with other people too. And I think there are a number of things we can change and hopefully agree to change. And so the main issues that we have is currently there is some user frustration. Of course, many users are happy and using wine, it just works for them, the application is working fine. And of course, we never hear from these users. So the ones we hear from are the ones who have problems, who have bugs, and they sometimes feel we don't really pay attention to them, which is kind of true. There is also developer frustration. Everybody knows it's hard to get patches upstream. And I think without compromising on the code quality that they've been enforcing, I think there are a number of things we can change in the process. And finally, with the wine staging development, there's been a bit of antagonism between the communities, and I think a little competition is useful. I mean, if people think they can do a better job than the WineHQ group, then it's good that they are trying, but we need to keep it civilized, and I think everybody needs to keep in mind that we are all working for the good of wine, even if we don't always agree on the tactics. We need to be careful not to. I mean, we often see comments that people are trying to hurt wine, or CodeWeavers is deliberately holding wine back and stuff like that. And I think this is harmful, so we should try to remember we are all part of the same team and try to work together as much as possible. So now I'm going to go through a number of suggestions I received. And, well, please bear with me. I'm going to list a lot of things And the idea is that we then will have discussion sessions and we go to this step by step and see if we can agree on a change, see if it's a good idea, it's a bad idea. So I've listed everything I've heard, I've been told. I don't necessarily agree with all of that, but I wanted to make sure to get everything out in the open and start the discussion. So the first thing is user frustration. So people have been saying that users are complaining that we don't fix their bugs, and especially their regressions, fast enough, which is often true. Users feel that we need also more predictable, more visible progress. Often we are simply everybody's working on his own stuff, and one gets better, but it's not necessarily visible. It's not clear what we are doing. It's not clear how his patches are doing. Sending a lot of patches and nobody's seeing the results except that one day it's going to magically work. But make that more visible, that would help. There's an issue with binary packages. WineStaging is providing packages for most of the distros, but we don't have packages for wine. We leave that up to the distro. There's the suggestion that if we provided binary packages, it would make users' life a lot easier. That's especially true when people are using WineStaging and we ask them to retest with plain wine, but they cannot get the same package that they got from WineStaging for plain wine. So that's a suggestion. And finally, data point WineStaging. Sebastian told me that they are using the bug tracker also for user support. I don't know if we can do that or if we just be overwhelmed. But the idea is that with the bug tracker, you can keep track of the status. So it's not just replying to the user, but you can actually mark whether you resolved the problem or not. You can assign the user request to someone, that sort of thing. So that was the ideas for the user side of things. One more. And the suggestion was to find a better way to recognize non-developers. We have lots of people helping with the bug tracker, testing things, and we don't really have a way of recognizing them. They don't get into the authors list, they don't have their name in the Git tree, stuff like that. So that may also help getting users feel that we are listening. On the developer frustration side, one of the problems is that we tend to want to train people to become wine developers. I know I do that, I know other people do that too. And this is necessary for wine. We need new developers, but not everybody is interested. Some people just want to fix that one bug and then go away. And we need a way to accept that and make it possible for people to get the patching without becoming a real developer. And we need a way for people with crazy ideas to try them. And that's one of the things staging has been doing. It's a way to test patches and get users to test patches that are not ready to go into the main truth. People feel that it's difficult to convince people on wine level, the core developers, myself of course, other long-time developers too. We've all been doing that for a long time, so there is a tendency to believe that the way we are doing things is the right way. And because we're doing that for so long and because the results are actually pretty good, it's hard to accept different ideas. And I'm hoping we can change that. And the atmosphere on wine level is also often a little unwelcoming to new people. And I'm hoping we can improve that. Another issue that was raised is that it's hard to find the right solution to a problem, because what I tend to do is, when I'm shown a solution, is to say that's not right. But I'm not saying you should do that instead, because often I simply don't know. I need to see the right solution to be able to tell, yes, this is the right solution. So developers are frustrated that they have to try basically all possible solutions before they stumble on the right one. And finally, some parts of the process are not documented. There's a lot of common wisdom. All the long-term developers know how things work, but new people have basically no way of finding out. Then, of course, the main reason for developer frustration is the patch acceptance process. So lots of things, lots of problems with that. The most common complaint is that every patch should get feedback. I guess we all agree on that. How do we do that is an interesting question. One of the things is we need more people to review patches. Lately it's been getting better. A lot of people are reviewing patches and telling me this patch is approved, so I can put it right in, and that's very helpful. Hoping we can increase that. And one of the things that would be helpful is to assign reviewing responsibility to someone. Right now, it's basically always me. Other people are helping, but if nobody reviews a patch, then ultimately it's my responsibility, and if I don't review it, then it's never reviewed. But if it could be assigned, instead of asking everybody, please review this patch, asking a specific person, please review this patch, then I think it would be, people would feel that they have to, instead of just waiting for someone else to do it. Along this line would be to maintain a list of people per DLL, per module, that people can ask if they want to get a patch in. Who should they go to instead of me? Another issue would be to pay attention to the new developers. I know we've been always saying this would be a good idea, but we never really found someone willing to do it. To make sure that new people, when they send their first patch in, they get a more welcoming reply and understand that, well, this is broken. After a while, people get used to it.
So instead of just saying this is broken, you say thank you for your work, but this is broken.
Thank you for your work. Please try again. And an issue is, of course, burnout. I mean, lots of us have been doing this for so long that explaining for the 3 millionth time that you shouldn't have C++ commands, stuff like that, is getting tiresome. So
that can be automated.
Yes, that's a little point.
Hey, I managed to get one in.
It should be automated.
Do you have patches from people who attended the underhanded C contest?
And one suggestion was that we could have architecture boards, so a group of long-time developers who you could submit an ID to, and they would help with the design. So a developer has a way of figuring out the proper design before they finish the implementation and send a patch. Get told that no, it's not the right design. more issues. So one idea was to make wine staging formal part of the batch acceptance process. Right now, there are a number of people who are disgruntled with the wine batches process, and so they get their stuff into staging because that's easier. And so one suggestion was to make this official in some way. For instance, send new people to wine staging, only have veteran developers frustrate the wine batches, things like that. Another point was to send mail when the patch status changes, so that would make people feel they get more feedback, even if it's just a computer sending feedback, still better than nothing. Another suggestion was to have a group of volunteers who would review the bad batches. That when someone sends try 10 of broken batch, then usually I don't feel like reviewing it again. So maybe we could have some people volunteering to help these people out. And one interesting suggestion was to make the AJ rank visible, which is kind of tricky because there's no formal definition. Could be a way to motivate people if they get the patch in, then they see the rank going up. And get medals and stuff. Experience points.
Jeremy's looking really worried this morning.
Well, we could make some exceptions.
You need a floor. A floor, yeah.
Then an idea was the automated batch checker that Michael is going to give us any day now.
If I get done with this, don't have to deal with other stuff.
So yeah, that would be a way to catch C++ commands, that sort of issue. I've always also been dreaming for about 10 years now that we could send patches to the test bot and run the tests on Linux, so that I don't have to do that myself. It saves me a lot of time, but I keep dreaming. And finally, an issue was to find a way to integrate work that is hard to do in small incremental batches, that is hard to develop outside of the tree. Pulse audio is the example. It's been developed out of tree, but then you have multiple contributors and the history becomes messy. And how do we handle that? I don't know, but we need to think about that. And finally, a suggestion was to be more aggressive in reverting patches when they break something. I tend not to like reverts because to me it doesn't feel like moving forward. Most of the time when people send a fix, it is fixing something, and of course it's breaking something else. But if we revert the patch, then it's fixing what got broken and it's breaking what got fixed. So it doesn't feel like we are moving forward. So I tend to prefer, now that something is fixed, is keep it fixed and only address the regression. But for users, it feels like, well, we broke the application and we just don't care. So we need to maybe find a better way. Another issue we have had that I have with wine staging is that it's not clear how to manage authorship. I feel that building trust is important. It's a part of the process, and so I've been insisting that people send their own patches under their own name, that we don't mix up changes from several people into the same patch, and that sort of thing. And that there's been, the wine staging people feel that this is too restrictive. I think we could find a way to make it easier for people to help to work together on a patch and get that in, even if the authorship is a bit modern. The other thing that's useful is, of course, the regression page where we can blame people for specific regression. It doesn't work for me, but for other people, when they see their name up there, they tend to care more. And so if it's not clear who is the author of a patch, it's also not clear who should get assigned the regression. So there are ways around that. But one of the things that was suggested was to use the Linux kernel signed off by, reviewed by, so on, headers in the Git commit, so that we could keep track of multiple authors. We could also say who has tested the patch, for instance. So it's a way of giving credit to the testers. And we can have multiple authors in a single commit. And if we did something like that, then conceivably we can then parse these automatically and use them for the regression page too. So we can blame multiple people for the same patch. And so yeah, basically the idea is to relax the rules up to a point. And we need to discuss up to which point we want to relax the rules, we are willing to accept to relax the rules. Then, interesting issue is the release process, or lack of it. So a common complaint is that the stable releases take far too long, and many people feel we need much faster stable releases, 3 to 6 months schedule. Of course, then the bigger question is, do we even need stable release? That's something I think we should discuss. One of the ideas was to consider that staging is really the development branch, and that upstream is basically the stable branch. So maybe we don't need an even more stable branch. Another suggestion is to make time-based release, so we release every 6 months, no matter what. The thing with stable releases, the one thing that I feel is important is the code freeze period. Historically, we've been fixing a lot of things during the code freeze, and it's been a useful tool. So that's, I would say, the main reason for still trying to do stable releases. And of course, the other thing, up until now, I've tried to make releases when some major feature is done, because that's good for marketing. People know what to expect. They see that something new, and it's a way of showing that something new has happened. With development releases, where every 2 weeks you get a release, and the log messages don't really tell you anything. You don't know what's gotten better. So the milestones are good for users to know what to expect. But of course, if we want a milestone, then we have to wait for it to get ready. And that's why the release has been sleeping. For 1.8, I was hoping for a command stream, but that's not yet done. So yeah, I believe we'll have a session on stable release. And finally, another suggestion: if we keep the current pace of releases, then we need someone to maintain the release so that its lifetime becomes more, so that it remains useful for a longer period of time. At least make sure that it can still be compiled on recent distros, which is not the case for the current stable branch. So another issue is the bug tracker. I think the big problem is that when staging has their own bug tracker, the main reason for that is basically they got chased away from the WineHQ1. And I think that's a mistake. Users have no idea why there are 2 bug trackers and where they should file bugs. And why their bug gets closed just because they're using wine staging. And I think we need to fix that. And that means that in the main bug tracker, we need to accept that people are using patching versions, which actually is true for pretty much everybody. Even if they get the package from the distros also apply patches. So essentially, there's no such thing as a user using plain wine. I think we need to accept that fact and cope with it in the main bug tracker. And there's a feeling that people are very eager to simply close the bugs. Of course, we have a ton of bugs, and it's natural that we want to try to keep things under control, but for users who spend effort reporting a bug just to have it closed as invalid is very discouraging. So I'm hoping we can refine the rules and preferably have a set of rules in writing so that all the patch, all the bug, triaging people can apply the same rules, know when to close and when not to close them. And one thing we should consider is to also support the stable release in the bug tracker. Right now, whenever someone reports a bug is stable, or we tell them, well, your version is way too old, you should upgrade. But at least as long as we have the current state of stable releases, then people get the release from the distro, and they don't necessarily, it's not easy for them to upgrade. So if we could find a way to actually help these people out, that would be nice. Then some leadership issues. So this is what I get to blame myself. So communication issues, I think, is part of the problem. I tend not to say things that I feel don't need to be said. But often I have a hard time realizing where people don't understand. And what I like to do is to send short message and then have people come back with questions when they don't understand something. But that isn't really clear. I think we need to find a way to better communicate that. So if you get your patch is broken, should not be taken as just go away. It should be taken as please fix it, please engage in the process, please talk with me to improve the patch. And yeah, we need to improve that. We need to communicate that. Another complaint was the lack of long-term strategy, which is kind of hard. We don't really have a long-term plan. We just fix bugs as they come. And everybody has their own app that they're interested in, and there isn't really a feeling that everybody's pulling in the same direction, except for the fact that we are all fixing bugs. But having a clear strategy may help. I don't know, it's a suggestion. I would welcome more advice on how to do that. And finally, one issue that has come up recently is that since I moved to Japan, the time zone difference makes it very hard to get hold of me. Basically, especially for the US people, I go to bed by the time they wake up. I wake up by the time they go to bed. So that has been a challenge, and there's no real solution to that except
Everybody else has to move to Japan. So get ready to move to Japan, yeah.
Yes. Well, we can all go to China. It's pretty close. It's good for chat. I can talk to chat. And finally, a few random ideas. One idea was to give more people commit access. That has been discussed for about 20 years now. The truth is, with Git, is not that important. I mean, what we could do rather than commit access is pull requests. So people can have their own Git tree, and I can simply pull from that instead of plain patches. That's one thing you can consider if other of the main developers feel that this would be helpful for them. But of course, many of the long-term developers are used to sending email. With Git, it's pretty easy to also simply dump your Git tree as a series of emails. So that may not be so necessary. There has been suggestion to look at what GitHub has been doing, especially for patch reviews. It seems they have some good tools. I'm not really familiar with GitHub, so I don't know if there are things we can use, so welcome feedback on that point. Whether we use GitHub directly or we try to replicate some of these tools is an open question. So that was also a suggestion to have a broader set of tools instead of simply email and a couple of ad hoc web pages. We could potentially spend time developing more tools to make people's life easier. On this point also, some feedback would be welcome. If you feel there are tools we are missing, we should discuss that. And yeah, one final point was to, again, automated signature or some automated way of telling people when they get a message that their patch is broken, that this is not the end, this is not, you should not commit suicide right away. There is still some hope. Or well, at least lie to them, tell them there is still some hope. And finally, an idea that has been raised by Jen was to focus on Win32 ports of open software as a way of attracting new people and encouraging people who are writing Windows software to use Wine as a testing platform, with the hope that they would find bugs and help us fix bugs. Since they are Windows developers, presumably they know a lot about the Windows API and they can tell us exactly what we are doing wrong in a way that's easier than trying to disassemble Microsoft Office and figure out why it's making a certain call. All right, that's the long list of suggestions I received. And so I'm hoping that for the rest of this WineConf we can go through these points, discuss them, and just agree on a few of them. That's all for now.
All right.
Any questions?
I think there's a million questions.
we will go through these once again.
Where's our lines of code graph? We got withdrawal.
It's about like that. That's all you need.
All right. Well, why don't we thank you? So thank you, Alexander.